the explosion's here. Good afternoon, everybody. Here we are in a special report here. Today, it's all about talking about 25 with Congress. I'm here with Mike Brew is in the house from Advanced Partners. What's up, brother?
Not much, Richard. Thanks for having me. Really looking forward to the conversation.
Oh, we're going to have some deep dives today, man. This is all serious talk here. So I tell you what, you're a friend of mine. So I tell you what, let's jump into it about what happened a couple of weeks ago. You went to DC, man, for a big trip.
Yeah, we've been very fortunate. So for two reasons. One, Jeremy, our general manager, and I were invited to DC as part of the staffing advisory group. They go to DC a couple times a year and meet with members of Congress to share, both their perspective on what's going on, in the staffing industry. Good opportunity to educate members of Congress on more than just, hey, what is a staffing firm? It's here's the things that are important to us as business leaders, right, within this space. And we got some really cool updates too, which we can talk about in a little bit, but just around a lot of the topics that, people are either nervous about or have heard, will be upcoming as the transition of leadership occurs in a few weeks now. So I'm really excited, obviously, with the swearing in of Congress in the beginning of January, as we were chatting before. Lots going on there. So pretty hectic time. And then obviously with the presidential transition as we get later into January, a lot of important things that could have a real impact on the staffing industry and obviously others as well.
I love it. And you survived DC, man. You came back. There you go. Right.
DC I did. It's pretty cool. It's I'm as again, it's not a massive city, so it's not the same as going to New York City, but it's cool. Tons of history, a lot of hustle and bustle, especially around the holidays. Lots going on. And it was an awesome experience. And, definitely looking forward to sharing a lot of that with you guys today.
Exactly. And we know 2024, we don't have to even do the recap on it. It was one of them roller coaster years, Mike. I'm going to tell you, it was like up and down, up and down. We thought we were going to get over the hump, but I think 25 is going to be the year, man. I
would agree. I mean, for a variety of reasons again, but, I think the incoming administration, right, and the trifecta from a government standpoint is leaving people pretty optimistic, right? It doesn't happen often. So I think there's excitement about hopefully getting some progress and some things passed in Congress. Hopefully a lot of things, obviously, that will have positive impact on the staffing industry and small and medium-sized businesses as a whole. So there was definitely a lot of optimism when we were meeting, and while we were meeting with members of Congress, it was still yet to be determined, right, what the exact makeup of Congress would be. We knew, Republicans would obviously hold the House, but the dynamic in terms of what the difference in number of seats would be was yet to be determined. So now that we have a clearer idea, although slim margin, still very, very much an attitude of optimism, and looking forward to the new year.
Well, what I love is, seriously, and I got to say this real quick, is I think politics and politicians, they have a disconnect. They don't know really what staffing's all about. They have we have to educate them with your group going up there, staffing advisors. I mean, you guys are actually educating Congress so they can get some of this stuff passed, hopefully.
Yeah, it was great. So we were in a full day session, and there was several members of Congress and their staff came through and were giving us updates on a variety of topics, everything from immigration, artificial intelligence and what they're working on as we get into the new year and the impact that could have. Even talked a little bit about FUTA and SUTA from a unemployment insurance standpoint. And then some other topics around, obviously, the tax legislation. But so again, as I said, it was great for us to hear this stuff and hear, what could potentially be coming, what's being discussed. But before every single conversation, and we did the quick intro, usually the chief of staff that was helping lead this was very big on saying who we were as a group, and allowed, a couple of the supporting members of that group to, give a quick overview and an update on we're more than just staffing, right? It represents a good portion of the workforce. There's certain things that would impact staffing or labor, when it comes to immigration, per se, right, was one of the big topics that came up. And decisions that are made could have a tangible impact on the workforce, right? Not just, again, the workforce in the U.S., but a pretty decent percentage potentially of the candidates that staffing firms are hiring, especially if you're in a border state or depending if you're light industrial or manufacturing, where you might have a higher percentage, of individuals that, these are tangible concerns that, to no fault of their own, the members of Congress just they weren't making the connection, right? It's not that they don't understand it. I think it's just that they're not provided with that level of information and insight, that we were able to provide. The one example that came up was, and this is a great opportunity. It was my aha moment when we were sitting there. Is one of the members was talking about, they frequently put out requests for information, right? RFIs, they referred to it as. And, they even said, like, this would be phenomenal. It would be a great opportunity for you guys, right, in the room, hopefully, Advanced Partners is part of that. When they do put out RFIs, or if there's certain topics that we know they're either heavily debated or they're just 100%, they're not 100% one way or the other. What can we do both within our client base and as an industry as a whole, right, to collect that information, summarize it in a way that's consumable, and then share that with the appropriate members that are making these decisions. Not that we're going to necessarily sway, their mind one or the other, but at the very least, we're educating them on, what a particular decision could mean, for our industry. So it was pretty exciting. It was very eye-opening, certainly for me personally and professionally. And it just highlighted the massive opportunity that we have, again, both at Advanced, but as a staffing industry as a whole, to really drive, some of the advocacy and awareness on the things that are important to us.
Oh, 100%. In the staffing industry, people don't know that, but for the economy to thrive, staffing has to thrive. I mean, we are like the backbone and core of this. I mean, more companies are going to be using this in 2025. I'm going to tell you, Mike, just talking to staffing firms out there, they need our help. Staffing, they need recruiters to help. They don't have all the, the power to do it themselves. So that's where we're going to come in and just thrive again.
I 100% agree. The other thing that's been kind of interesting is, I've been at Advanced for about 3 years now, but with our parent company Paychex for almost 20 years. As you're talking to a lot of these business owners, even outside of staffing, and they're struggling to get talent, I've been asking, like, have you ever considered using a staffing firm to help, identify people? Well, we have an in-house recruiter. Yeah, we really haven't looked at it, or they can't fit our needs. Like, no, you don't understand. Like, it's not just, it doesn't have to just be a temporary labor to, for a warehouse position. Like there's staffing firms out there that are finding high quality, highly educated, very specific roles, right? And very good at it, by the way. So it's not just your temporary labor, force that you're looking to fill, or, if you're doing a high volume, like there's an opportunity to educate even the larger business community on, the benefits of leveraging a staffing firm as a whole, right? So it's pretty exciting. And hopefully along with this education, not just lawmakers, but, other businesses out in the industry, this could be a huge opportunity. And again, as we were talking before, I'm extremely, bullish on 2025 and beyond, because,
yes,
for many, many reasons, let's just say that, but tons of opportunity in this space.
Oh, heck yeah. So immigration policy, I want to deep dive into this, Mike. So I'm sure they deep dived about this because, like you said briefly, we know this of a lot of companies on the border, or not even. I mean, there's companies in Ohio,
Right.
that produce chicken and stuff like that. And 80% is the immigration population for their staffing. What did they go into detail about this, and what kind of policy are they trying to put together?
Yeah, it was really, again, educational, especially for me. I think there was some good consensus over. There's certainly concern, right, over things you hear in the media. Depending on what media you subscribe to, it could be a different narrative or not. But the overwhelming consensus is there's a fear of the unknown. Is it going to be mass deportation, closing the borders, right? In which case would be very, very harmful, right, to not just our industry, but the industry as a whole and the economy, right? The overwhelming consensus was very aligned in terms of, everyone supports some level of immigration policy, right? In basically, to oversimplify it, right? Who are the bad actors, right? Get them out, right? The people that are here working hard, showing up every day, contributing to society from a financial standpoint in taxes and just overall, like, let's find a way, right, to either provide them a path to citizenship, or at least help them get, what they need in order to, make this more of a permanent residency, right? So, and that was, again, overwhelming consensus, regardless of who we talked to, regardless of what party, they were involved with. It was absolutely kind of the big theme of that, and the big fear, which again, this tied to the educational part, some staffing firms are, and they're not, certainly not doing anything illegally, but when you have employees that are passing the E-Verify process, right, they're doing that on their own, but could be here illegally, like, you are talking about a certain percentage of a staff that could be gone, right? And again, these are people that work hard, show up every day,
Exactly.
And contribute as, high levels, at high levels, to society. So, again, we'll know more, I think, certainly as we get into January, because right now, I mean, it's not even, the transition hasn't even occurred yet, right? So it's a lot of it's speculation based on interviews and depending on who you're talking to. But there did seem to be pretty overwhelming consensus on common sense reform, right? Immigration, certainly increasing, support for ICE and Border Patrol agents and beefing up the presence there. So that's very positive, right? Like we want to make sure we have a responsible process and steps towards it.
I think you summed it up. Common sense in 25. That's with everything across the economy. It's got to be common sense. It's not jump to conclusion and just say, we're just going to get rid of this because, and this immigration thing, at the end of the day, you're totally right on this. I mean, we have to really deep dive in this and this not jump. And, companies will go out of business. Staffing firms will go out of business. I know staffing firms, Mike, that 80%, 90% is all immigration.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, 100%. And again, it was cool because as you're educating, and even bouncing off ideas, like what role could staffing firms play in a immigration reform, right? Can you set up something at the border states or depending on where these populations are that can help these people secure jobs, right? Through temporary labor, permanent placement, and help them find that path to citizenship, right? So it was cool to hear, and those were just kind of spitballing ideas. But eyebrows get raised like, oh my God, we never thought of that, right? And these are by lawmakers and members of Congress that are, again, to no fault of their own, just not as educated as they could be for our industry.
Okay, so were they calm in there, or was there a little bit of people going back and forth? You know how you see it on TV. Come on,
it was crazy. It was in some ways very appealing because I like the hustle and bustle and constantly being busy. But man, these guys are at a different level. Not only is there a ton going on outside, right? You have agents and police everywhere. But yeah, in the halls, we were at the Capitol building, walking through for just some, kind of checking things out when we had a little bit of free time. It's just nonstop, right? And you mix into that, setting up for the inauguration. They're moving offices. You get tables and chairs all over the Capitol. It was a pretty cool sight. And again, refreshing for me in a way to see this firsthand. Like people are there working, right? They are there. I think it's just, probably the attitude the last few years, again, by many people is, can't they get anything done? And they're there. I think they're working hard. I think the goal, again, getting into 2025 is to deliver, on a lot of this legislation that's being talked about and really try and solve problems, for businesses and citizens like you and I.
You got it. So you got your 10,000 steps in, right?
Oh my God, by far. I mean, even the Uber driver
went off and said,
"Get dropped off by Uber and have to walk a mile." But no, it was great. It was an amazing experience. We're really appreciative to the staffing advisory group that had us, allowed us to tag along, and all the members of Congress that came through. Super smart. I mean, these are incredibly smart individuals. And really genuine in terms of their desire to learn more and to have an impact going forward. So it kind of gave me renewed hope in our government as a whole that, there's definitely many reasons to be optimistic for sure.
There we go. Okay. So one subject I want to talk about is AI and technology, because this is something, that we hit back, is it biased? Is it not? I know they deep dived into this. What takeaway did you get from this?
Yeah, it was really cool. We had the chairman of a congressional committee that was put together specifically on AI and technology. And what was interesting is the congressman is the only member of Congress with a formal degree in AI. So he has a master's degree out of the 535 members there. So he was obviously tapped as the lead, and he formed this committee. And his big ask was it's 24 members, so 12 from Democratic Party, 12 from Republican Party, and obviously the chairman. And he specifically said, I don't want people from the IT field. I want people from all walks of life that are going to come in and give different perspective. They're going to ask questions that, he probably wouldn't think to ask because this is his, area of expertise. So they got together, and when we were there, it was about, we're going on about 2.5 weeks now. They were just getting ready to release their report. Ended up being 280 plus pages. Literally, the report just came out on Tuesday of this week. So I do have it. I am going to read it, but I need more time because it's 280 pages. But the key takeaways was they were looking at what other countries have done in terms of regulation and, setting expectations, because it is an area that does need oversight. It's just a question of how much, right? So what was interesting is one of the recommendations, and this report certainly isn't legislation, right? It's meant to inform future, legislation that they'll put out there in future hearings over the years. Yeah. But really looking at it on a sector by sector basis. So instead of overarching regulation and rules and imposing that, right? You make this overarching regulation saying staffing industry, squeeze yourself into this, very round hole that maybe you don't fit into. Their recommendation is take it sector by sector, right? Where does it make sense? certain things that make sense for, the FDA was an example, right? They're evaluating, medicines and technologies that could have a tangible impact on whether someone lives or dies, right? That requires a different level of oversight than, maybe staffing does or other areas. The example in staffing that the congressman actually talked about was we're different in respect to the fact that a lot of our technology is billed as AI driven or AI assisted, right? Which is great. Automation, cost savings, consolidating, costs across multiple platforms, all positive, right? Allows a business owner, especially staffing owner, to be more efficient, hire faster, and hopefully retain a lot of their business. The catch with that is, you want to make sure that your technology is, from an AI assisted standpoint, it's not making the decisions for you, where there could be, inherent biases incorporated into that. You could potentially be losing out on quality candidates, because if it's looking at maybe historical data versus, best fit given the criteria that someone's looking for, then you really could be hurting your business, not for any other reason than you could be missing out on a good chunk of candidates. So that was a very tangible example you used, especially around a lot of the recruitment tools. As you're trying to identify top talent, you're building apps and, trying to differentiate yourself as a staffing business, which is all phenomenal, because technology can play an important part in that. Making sure that we have a good understanding and there is good rules and parameters set, so that we're not, putting ourselves either in a position where we're compromising our business, right, and that we're able to maximize the talent pool that's out there. So really, really interested to get deeper into that report. And again, this is something they're taking very seriously, and is a very hot topic. So I'm excited to see what they come out with, around this topic as we get into the new Congress.
And I love that, because I think this is something AI technology, Congress needs to take charge of this, because there's a lot of going on, and we don't even get into the subject, but you got social media, there's so many different things going on. It can affect your election. It could do this. There's something that they need to keep it down a straight path here, so we're all still humans again.
100%. And that was a part of the discussion too, right? Like the vision, what they see AI, kind of impacting just from a life standpoint, right? Our day-to-day lives when we're not working. So it's intriguing. I think there is an opportunity even there from an educational standpoint. There's a lot of myths that can be dispelled, but even to understand the impact AI has, on our businesses, right? And do it sector by sector, I think makes a lot of sense. So it was very promising to hear that, and can't wait for, that report to be digested. And
all I can say with AI, I can't wait till it makes me the perfect burger at McDonald's. You know that, right? It's coming. It's already here, I think.
I just want them to look like they do on the ads, but that's okay. They still taste great,
Well, they do. Once or twice a year, McDonald's with a Coke. Oh my God.
Bomb. That's right.
Okay, so something else that you talked about really quick was the business taxes, which is big. This is a big concern for a lot of staffing firms out there. I mean, they're getting ambushed with tax after tax after tax. Mm-hmm. What are they going to do? Congress is going to do, hopefully in 25, that some insight to maybe help staffing firms and get some tax breaks and other stuff.
Yeah, this was probably the most interesting topic, and obviously there were very many discussed. But I think there's still a lot of debate even internally on timing, right? So let's pretend that the timing is not a part of this, because there's speculation. Does it happen before summer? Is it summer? Does it get kicked to the fall? I think the overwhelming consensus is that as business owners should feel optimistic, because hopefully taxes won't go up, right, on businesses. So at the very least for the next couple of years, again, obviously until the next round of elections, should be in a pretty safe space. Again, say that not knowing what could happen tomorrow when we wake up. But that I think brings some level of confidence and certainty. Right. We did spend time talking about some of the tax credits, right, related specifically to hiring. You got WOTC and potentially extending the cap on that, I know is a big priority for many, obviously in the staffing industry too, because you do want to obviously hire people. And if there's an opportunity to hire and bolster a certain segment and be able to support the business in those efforts, then obviously you want to take advantage of it. I do think there's potential even around some of the technology, right? As companies are looking to invest in their own technology, is there an opportunity for tax credits, write-offs, things to be able to help them afford some of this stuff? Because I think that's another, and I don't even want to say misconception, it's another fear, is that can I afford to keep up with respect to a lot of the resources that are out there, right? People are great, and yes, we're in the people business. And I think staffing is unique in that way, that there's still that need for that person-to-person contact. But again, right? People are constantly looking at, well, how can I be more efficient, right? What technology and tools can I use? And it's not free. So, I am optimistic that there's an opportunity out there for us to hopefully see within the next year, but certainly the next Congress for some, tax credit discussions. Again, even if it's increasing the caps, right, on some of these things, it could be very beneficial.
And that's what we need, because I know staffing firms that their workers' comp is so high, Mike. I mean, it's just, they're getting crushed where it's penny on penny for each employee. And if somebody gets hurt, I mean, they're out of business pretty much.
Right. Well, and that this was talked about a little bit, and it is kind of tied to it, right? Obviously, we spent time on the unemployment side and really spent time focusing on how are they going to crack down on a lot of the fraudulent activity, both within our borders, right? And
yeah.
Stuff. But to your point, that carries over to other types of insurances, right? Fraud on the workers' comp side, and just the nature, I think of, people in this time is, some might say we live in a sue happy, culture. And how do you protect a business owner who's trying to do things right and, hiring the right people and following the rules, to be put in a precarious position where your staffing business could be at risk, right, due to a frivolous lawsuit. It's good to hear that, and again, regardless of how you feel about the people, that looking at this Department of Government Efficiency and just, some of the waste and not just waste in spending, right, but the waste on the fraud side is really something that's being talked about. And again, folks are very optimistic that, hopefully within the next year, a lot of this stuff is looked at and things are put in place to limit that.
Got it. And I got to tell you right now is being a partner with ASA, you guys are an advocate. I mean, I tell you what you guys are doing is taking that next step, Mike, to help everybody out, just not funding. I mean, that's why I love being part of your family here. Can you tell me the partnership you guys have with ASA? And I know you met with Stephen Dwyer down there and had some good conversations.
Yeah, it's been really good. And again, very good for me, because not growing up in the staffing industry, obviously we know who ASA is, phenomenal partners. We attend all their events. They put on a great show. But, when I've been talking to staffing firms in the industry, yourself included, right, as an industry partner, SIA and others, ASA is looked at as that, leader from an advocacy standpoint, especially when it comes to the government relations. Now, a lot of it is done on the state and local level, right, but certainly even on the federal level, I mean, they have a government relations team. So I did have the opportunity, along with our Paychecks, which is our parent company, their head of government relations, to meet with Stephen Dwyer and his team, Toby on the government relations side, while we were down there, and shared a little bit about what we were hearing, right, from staffing firms. And that is, there is an opportunity for continued advocacy, better understanding of, what the important topics are, making it not just more digestible, but more readily available, right, from an education standpoint. And then third, on that end is kind of like we talked, there is an opportunity to, there's strength in numbers. How do you get a good, collection of staffing firms sharing insights and data that we can consolidate and then share back, with those that are making these important decisions that will have an impact on businesses. So Stephen was super receptive, phenomenal, partner. We're looking forward to doing some kind of co-educational things as we get into 2025, webinars. And it's not all government relations related, right? There's other things that we can, help educate and simplify, in part because these, and again, hearing it directly from the staffing firms, they're running a business, right? They don't have the time to sit there and necessarily research like, hey, what does this new regulation mean, right? They're dependent on, leaders in the industry, such as advanced partners, to, provide them with the content or tell them, what should I be looking at, right? And ASA puts out a ton of content, which is phenomenal. SIA does the same thing, right? So, it's really partnering with the leaders in the industry, and really showing how we can bolster the industry as a whole, right? We're all successful, to your point earlier. When the staffing industry is doing well, we're all doing well. And why wouldn't you want that? It's great to have friendly competition and to certainly go out there and try and win new business. And yes, you want to outperform your competitors. But at the end of the day, if the industry is struggling, that's not good for anybody. So, really excited about a lot of the things we have coming in the new fiscal year, and, continuing obviously our partnership with you, and really excited about, finding new ways to educate and bring awareness, and then advocate on behalf of, these tens of thousands of staffing firms that are out there, and millions of workers, by the way. I mean, that's the power in numbers, right? It's not just one staffing firm owner sharing their feedback. It's, hey, here's feedback from 1,000 clients that represent tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of workers, that perks ears up when you're talking to the right people. So
You got it. And I got to tell you, Toby, isn't he like a character? Toby knows like a little bit about everything. Am I right?
he does. I've had the opportunity to meet him
Man.
as well at ASA, a couple of times, and yeah, phenomenal resource. That's why I say we have, I think, all the tools necessary. It's just how do you bring that all together, right, and really promote and advocate more impactfully, right? Again, they're doing a good job today. No concerns there, but there's absolutely opportunity to do more, and I think we're all committed to that.
You got it. And let's wrap it up with paychecks. You mean your government relationship with paychecks. I mean, break it down for that, man, because that's big time.
Yeah, it's very cool being a part of such a large organization, right? No one else in our space has that benefit, and it's beneficial to us for a variety of reasons. But when it comes to this in particular, paycheck 745,000 clients that represent 12 million workers plus in the US. I mean, they pay 1 out of every 12 people, a good chunk of those being staffing firms, right? So to have a government relations team that is super focused on labor, right, in small and medium sized businesses, and importantly willing to help us in the staffing space is going to be critical for our success. Again, it's a massive differentiator for us. We've received phenomenal support, and it's been a phenomenal resource of education for us at Advance, because we don't, a lot of companies that are looked at as smaller companies, right, don't have those resources, and we do. We're part of a $50+ billion market cap company that it's pretty exciting, presents us with a lot of unique opportunities that we're excited to expand on as we get into FY25 and above, for all the reasons we talked about. But having that, if we didn't have that, it would be really tough to drive a lot of the change and impact, that we're looking to in 25 and beyond.
You got it, Mike. Well, hey, thank you so much for coming on, man. This special report, man, was amazing. And can we tell everybody out there, you're going to be back for more special reports in 25 with us, man?
Yeah, we're looking, Richard, we love you for all the reasons that, everybody else does, right? The energy, love seeing you at shows. But yeah, as we were kind of brainstorming around this, what better way to help, spread the news, the updates, good opportunity for us to hopefully connect monthly and do a special report on not just what is occurring, but what is potentially going to be, hitting within the next, call it, 3 to 6 months and beyond. And again, part of the benefit of having the Paychecks connection and, being, involved in these discussions, looking forward to getting some experts on. I think it's a good opportunity for us to hear directly from the source of a lot of this, and hopefully get some questions answered and get some good education out there. So yeah, super excited and really appreciate you taking the time and getting me on before the holidays. And yeah, very, very excited for everything to come in the new year.
Well, Mike, you know what I got to say? Mr. Brew is in the house here. Hey, have happy holidays. Everybody out there, make sure you rest up the rest of 24, because 25 is going to be alive. I ain't going to lie on that one.
Absolutely.
All right, brother, man. Hey, have a good one, man. We'll see you soon, buddy.
You too, Richard. Thanks again. Have a good holiday.